Welcome back to this special edition of Seek Your Strength, where we're bringing to you the heaviest female weightlifter squat on video. Now it's brought to you by Park Hee-jung. I hope I said that right. If anyone's Korean, feel free to correct me phonetically. She squatted 270 kilos. Park is also still a teenager, so far as I'm aware, which is fucking ludicrous. She also seems to have done this without knee sleeves and without a belt. Full depth. 270 kilos. It's technically perfect. It's so fucking aesthetic. This is fucking ridiculous. I know people hate when they curse sometimes, but fucking hell.
No, it's not even about the weight for me.
Yeah.
It's how well that weight moves.
Just all
The
quads.
speed of it.
Yeah.
The positions of it. As you say, all quads. It is phenomenal.
The loading is mental.
I would say
Yeah.
the loading is typically Asian in its style.
Yeah.
It's
15s.
15s and 10s.
Yeah.
Like-
This is one of my favorite squats I've seen this year, I think, so far.
100%.
It's so aesthetic.
100%. It is so good. The position, like we can talk about the positions and her kind of relative ratios all day long, but it doesn't get away from the fact that this is 270 kilos
Yeah.
for a perfect squat.
So two things I really like about her squat in particular is the nice close grip. So we talked about this a lot in the squat series so far, and today this is such a good squat. It's filling in for the squat series. Is this nice close grip, so we get this really good stacking of her upper body. Now she does have a false grip, but so just a kind of a thumbless grip, but this probably allows her to get a little bit closer with that grip, so we get this fantastic stacking along the upper back. We have her elbows slightly further back, so we're getting her shoulder blades nice and contracted. We get this tension all along our arms, which then gives our body a very nice level of proprioception. It's really reassuring for our body when we've got this great kinetic link between our arms, the barbell, our hands, our upper back and our elbows. So it lets the upper body maintain that really nice extended position coming up out of the squat.
One thing I think you're going to see here as well, or one thing you do see here that's better than almost any other squat of this weight, is the timing of that whip and the timing of that bar bend. So a lot of the time when people are squatting very heavy weights like this, particularly weightlifters, as they start sitting down, so the initial descent, you'll see a bit of kind of negative whip in the bar where basically the barbell is moving and the weights on either side haven't started to move yet. This typically manifests itself in, as the weightlifter is passing parallel, that kind of whip overtakes itself and you'll see a kind of shudder on the way down. This is very, very common. What you see here is none of that happening. So she gets that small bit of reverse whip as she starts sitting down. Then as she hits the bottom position, that is just overtaking it. And that bounce comes back into the bar and she uses the whip very, very well. It's an exemplary squat of 270 kilos.
Moving further down then, we have the use of our knee extensors. So obviously Parky is very well built for squatting, and as she begins the descent we see that her knees are immediately pushed forward, and then she's driving out of the hole with her quads as much as possible to continue the use of her upright torso and the legs as much as possible. Coupled with that then as well, she's just that slightly outside shoulder width squat sense. So usually when we are weightlifting, we're typically around that hip width or maybe shoulder width depending, but she is slightly outside that to give her hips room to sit in between her legs. She obviously has then a huge amount of dorsiflexion, a lot of leg mass, so then she can kind of sit in between her heels, staying nice and upright, which obviously you want to be doing with 270 kilos. You do not want to be good morning that in any fashion.
I really think as well you should look at just how smooth and how stable she is with the barbell. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the time when you see people unracking maximal weights, they're going to be absolutely vibrating, particularly once they walk a barbell out from the rack like this, and as they start to walk it back in, you'll see some shaking, some movement to the head. She is absolutely still throughout the entire walkout, and as she sets for the squat.
So confident walking it out.
Yeah.
Now Park Hee-jung competed at the Asian Games recently, but before that, she actually has a 200 for 3 front squats. So while we're on the subject, we might as well
insane
have a little gawk. 200 for a triple in the front squat. Absolutely immaculate. It's the no knee sleeves and apparently no belt. And the fact it's 200 kilos for a triple. I don't know what's a heavier front squat we've seen from a female weightlifter. I don't know what it is.
To be honest, I think this is the most impressive squatting of any female ever.
And her lifts match this as well. So she is a very good lifter. Her lifter improving all the time. So we have 127 kilo snatch and a 168 kilo clean and jerk in our most recent competition performance. Very technical, very Korean style lifting. Even the way she re-racks the barbell, they love an aggressive kind of double bounce to get a bit of whip going onto the jerk. Really vertical shin angle in the pull, especially in the snatch, and similar in the clean, and super aggressive under, holding that full grip in the clean. So all very Korean trademarks. Now, on the subject, it's the heaviest female squat we've seen from Weightlifter on video. Now, obviously, immediately springs to mind is Tatiana Karashina, the Russian super heavyweight, who we've seen back squat 255 kilos for a double in the 2019 World Weightlifting Championships training hall. And so we've never seen a heavier squat from her. We're not really sure what her heaviest squat is, but thanks to an article from All Things Gym, we actually have a link to a Russian article. So she was quite coy about revealing her best back squat. She didn't tell it in an interview with Tarokati. She didn't tell it in the interview that was translated from the YouTube video that the All Things Gym article was used on. But Gregor did find an article that related into Russians for some Our Sport, and essentially translation says that she squatted 280 kilos when she was in her best shape at the World Championships. So 280 kilos. I don't think anyone else has out squatted her. I think it's very, very unlikely. It looks like Park Hee-jong will out squat her at some stage.
Yeah, very soon, but it looks of it.
Like, it kind of looks like there's 275 there currently, just looking at that.
Just at the ease of this squat, it looks like it's there. It brings to light one of the main disadvantages of the kind of the demonization of doping, is that a lot of these massive lifts that would have gone down in history, certain people snatching 190 kilos in training, that there's no videos exist of them because the videos were actively being suppressed by their coaches and their own federations, so they wouldn't be put on a kind of watch list. But I'm glad we have this video to look at.
Yeah, it's interesting because Tatiana was really coy about saying her best lifts in the interview she did about back squatting. She said she just does 200 for sets, or she wouldn't say, she said she'd keep it a secret, and a lot of that is tactics where it's just less said, keep your head down, say nothing, and keep saying it, as the saying goes. But and the rumor, so this is a rumor we've heard from an Olympic medalist coach, a German weightlifting coach, was told that Tatiana had done 170, 210 in training. Now, Tatiana says in interviews that her best is 155, 193, but that's her best competition lifts. But the story goes she did 170, 210 in training. How true that is, it is all rumors as usual, but given that we routinely see weightlifters do massive lifts in training, it's not unbelievable, and especially if she's squatting 280, she certainly has the squat ratios to be doing it. Just on the subject, the heaviest female squat, raw squat on record in a competition was done in Sheffield a few weeks ago by Bonica Brown. She did 280, which is interesting that it matches Tatiana's best squat. Belts and knee sleeves, which is obviously raw, but when you compare it to Park Hee-jong's squat, which appears to be fully raw, which is mental.
Yeah.
So crazy lifting, and I think it's the most aesthetic squat I've seen this year.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely the most impressive squat we've seen this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching.